At the time of the incident, Sarah Patricia Good was the only parent to Jocelyn, who was 4 years old. According to her relatives and those who knew her, Sarah was a kind young woman. She was responsible. She possessed a large heart and was extremely caring. She had a powerful maternal nature and seemed born to be a mother. She was overjoyed when she discovered she was pregnant. The identity of the child's father and the circumstances that led Sarah to become a single mother are unknown, but she vowed to do everything she possibly could to protect her child. When the case occurred, Sarah was working as a medical technician in Medford, Long Island, balancing her career while raising her young daughter. As a matter of fact, Sarah had plans on that unfortunate June 6, 2014. It was fair to say she was excited when her friends invited her to attend a party. Sarah was only 21 years old. Along with being a single mother, she was employed full-time. Because of this, her schedule was often extremely busy. Don't misunderstand, Sarah was comfortable with her routine, but she also didn't mind taking occasional breaks to release stress. As a result, this get-together was intended to be a great way for her to relax and unwind. So Sarah asked her brother-in-law to watch her child. Once she completed her work shift, she went home, ensured everything was settled for the night, got dressed, hugged and kissed Jocelyn, and then left. Sadly, Sarah would never make it back home. Her young daughter had no way of knowing that the hug and kisses her mother gave her before leaving would be a final goodbye, never to see her again. Sarah did attend the party, and everything appeared to go well. That was essentially it. Everyone had a wonderful time. There are even photographs from the gathering posted online. Looking back, the thought that Sarah was alive and well when those photos were taken is deeply unsettling. No one knew what was coming, and everyone was happy. The following day, Sarah's mother tried to reach her, but Sarah didn't answer. After that, her mother waited for her to come home so she could visit her family, but that never happened either. At the time, her mother didn't think much of it. She assumed Sarah was probably sleeping because she knew her daughter had stayed out late. Additionally, Sarah's mother believed she would certainly show up for her nephew's upcoming birthday. However, that did not happen. It was on that very birthday that Sarah's entire family realized something was seriously wrong. Sarah had never, ever failed to attend her nephew's birthday before. Her family also thought it was odd that she hadn't reached out to anyone. Although I understand that life happens and sometimes plans fall through. As you remember, Sarah's mother called and texted her, and I'm sure others did too. To prevent worrying her family, Sarah should have responded as soon as she was able. Instead, there was nothing. Sarah gave no response. Her phone went unanswered. She did not reply to any messages. No one had seen her since the night of the party. She also failed to attend her nephew's birthday celebration. On top of that, Sarah had a young daughter to care for. So where could she have gone without her child? Sarah, who was 21 years old, was reported missing after police were contacted due to the many troubling thoughts running through the minds of her loved ones. Her family stressed to authorities how out of character this behavior was for Sarah. Since Sarah was a single mother, police were especially concerned as well. She could not have just walked away from everything and started over spontaneously one night. She had a small child who needed her. On top of that, she also failed to show up for work, which raised even more alarm. Police also learned that her money had been taken on the night of the party. That night was, of course, the last time anyone had seen her. Investigators believed this was the final place Sarah had been before disappearing. It made sense for the search to start there. But how could what seemed like an ordinary gathering result in a missing person, and a missing mother at that? Detectives were determined to uncover the truth, and they were about to encounter an unexpected twist in the investigation. Both law enforcement and members of the community searched for Sarah. To find answers and eventually resolve the case, police needed to locate Sarah and her vehicle. Officers searched her home, the party location, and surrounding areas. They also questioned several people, including friends and those who attended the party, to determine what might have happened to Sarah or whether she had contacted anyone during that period. On June 8th, 2 days into the search, a gray 1999 BMW 328i was found in the Medford area, roughly a mile from Sarah's home. There was no doubt that the vehicle belonged to Sarah. The vehicle appeared to have been abandoned, and police were summoned to the scene almost immediately. Sarah was not located anywhere, either inside the car or nearby. As some officers examined the vehicle both inside and out, police sent a search team to canvass the surrounding area. When authorities opened the car, it was in complete disarray. To say the least, the vehicle did not look to be in good shape. The interior of the car was nearly entirely stained red. Simply by observing the inside, police were able to determine that something violent had taken place within the vehicle. Along with a red-stained handprint found on the hood, there was a significant amount of DNA inside the car. In addition, clumps of hair were hanging from the window. This was horrifying. Suddenly, the officers felt an overwhelming sense of dread. They knew that if Sarah was not found quickly, the chances of locating her alive were extremely slim. While the car was being swabbed for DNA, the search for Sarah pressed on. At the same time, a group of volunteers was searching a wooded area about half a mile from where Sarah's car had been found, 6 days after her disappearance. One of the volunteers, David Zorns, later said that he immediately felt something was wrong as soon as he and the group entered the woods. There was a foul, deathly odor lingering in the air. As soon as they noticed police officers, they were escorted out of the woods, and for good reason, because a body had just been discovered there. The young woman was unmistakably deceased, and at first glance it was obvious that she had been brutally beaten. Even worse, she had also been assaulted. The woman had multiple cuts on her body, and officers noticed that her foot bore a flower tattoo. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Sarah also had a flower tattoo on her foot. This detail was clearly visible on her missing person flyer. Tragically, the woman found in the woods was soon identified as 21-year-old Sarah Good, despite police fearing this outcome. For the first time in a long while, Sarah had gone out with her friends for a night of fun. She was murdered in the woods while she was out enjoying herself with her group. This was something no one had expected. The devastating news shattered Sarah's family. Sarah would never come back to her young daughter. The entire community was left stunned. But who could have done this to Sarah? What could have happened to lead to such a brutal attack? These were exactly the questions police needed to answer. And eventually, they would admit that they had always had someone in mind. As a result, some of the people police questioned, those who knew Sarah and had been present at the party, shared something interesting. You see, there was a man at the gathering who approached Sarah and repeatedly asked her out. Police wanted more information. What kind of man was he? Turned out to be Dante Taylor. Dante had served in the Marines. He was only in the Marines for 7 months before being discharged. Those who knew both Dante and Sarah described him to police as a troubled individual. Beyond a handful of details, however, not much else is known about Dante. What is known is that he had previously been married and that the divorce was extremely difficult. Dante reportedly took the separation very hard, and according to his friends, he had been contemplating suicide ever since. It was also reported that Dante suffered abuse during his childhood. While there isn't much additional information about that situation, it is still tragic. We do know that Dante struggled with serious mental health issues as a result of that experience. Nonetheless, several people saw him at the same party Sarah attended, and it was said that as the night was winding down, Dante attempted to pursue her romantically. Sarah, however, was not looking for anything serious or anything at all. Meeting and talking to a man was the last thing on her mind. All she wanted was to enjoy a night out with her friends. So, she understandably rejected Dante's advances. Dante, on the other hand, refused to stop. He continued relentlessly pursuing the attractive young woman he had noticed. But at every turn, he was rejected. Sarah simply couldn't tolerate it anymore. To the police, this was beginning to come together, even though partygoers had no idea what had actually happened afterward. A man who could not cope with rejection. In fact, there was a questionable aspect surrounding the entire event. Dante was taken in for questioning about the night of the party because the police wanted to talk to him face to face, and he was very easy to locate. However, this is where law enforcement made a serious mistake that, frankly, angered a lot of people. You see, when Dante was arrested a few days after Sarah was murdered, he was not even read his Miranda rights. and during that time, they collected his DNA along with other related evidence. Moreover, there was no probable cause to justify any of this. Because of this extremely serious misstep, the police were contacted. Whether someone is guilty or innocent, suspicious or merely a person of interest, officers are required to follow proper procedure at all times. It seemed as though the police rushed their investigation far too much and were mainly focused on pinning the crime on the first suspect they encountered and then moving on. As a result of this, Dante was able to avoid his initial arrest and was allowed to leave. However, what Dante did afterward was highly unusual. After being released, Dante boarded a flight from New York to Florida, and it was reported that his mother sent him there and told him to wait until it was safe for him to return. Later on, Dante's attorney came forward and stressed that Dante did not appear to be running from the police and that his trip to Florida was simply to visit family. Still, if he truly was not fleeing, the timing of this was extremely strange, and it was just odd and did not cast him in a very favorable light. Meanwhile, the police were waiting for the results of a test that compared Dante's palm prints with those discovered in the car, along with other DNA evidence. When those results came back, the DNA found in the vehicle matched Dante's. Especially after Sarah had rejected his advances, Dante had absolutely no reason to be inside Sarah's car. His palm prints and DNA were located inside that vehicle, which by then was in a very gruesome state. Based on this evidence, investigators theorized that Dante had followed Sarah to her car and attempted once again to persuade her after she had turned him down for another time. At that stage, Dante violently attacked Sarah, either inside the car or outside of it, we are not certain. He also killed her. As for that assault on Sarah, the results of her autopsy had just been released, and they revealed, well, some truly disturbing details. Sarah's head was included among the more than 40 injuries she sustained. Another deeply unsettling detail was that part of the weapon was still found lodged inside her body. The attack was carried out with an extreme level of rage and physical force. It did not seem like a random assault if Sarah had been struck with enough anger and strength to actually break a metal weapon in that manner. This was a crime driven by rage and passion. The police primarily examined Dante's location around the estimated time of Sarah's attack, but they also reviewed location data and cell phone records. As it turned out, his phone's location placed him near the crime scene, near where Sarah's vehicle was found, and close to the area where volunteers eventually discovered her body. Finally, everything was starting to fall into place. Even though the police initially made mistakes and received significant public backlash, they were eventually able to determine that Dante was at the scene of the crime and that he was the person who attacked and murdered Sarah. Because of this, they planned to arrest Dante and bring him before the court to answer for what he had done to Sarah. However, by that point, he had already left Florida, and law enforcement had to act fast to capture him. An arrest warrant was issued for Dante, and all Florida law enforcement agencies were alerted to be on the lookout for him. Ultimately, Dante was arrested in Vero Beach. Interestingly, he was taken into custody on a completely unrelated charge. We do not really know what that charge was, but it had nothing to do with Sarah's murder. Still, because Florida authorities were aware of him and the active arrest warrant, Dante was detained and sent back to New York to face the consequences. Sarah's family and investigators anxiously waited to find out whether the person responsible would truly be held accountable for his actions. Fortunately, their wait did not last long. After being charged with the murder of Sarah Good, Dante entered a plea of not guilty and awaited trial. During the trial, the state relied on multiple pieces of evidence against Dante, including the DNA evidence, cell phone location data, and the palm print found on Sarah's car. The prosecution worked diligently to reconstruct what happened to Sarah on the night of the party. It is believed that Sarah and Dante knew each other prior to that celebration. In fact, Dante and Sarah were acquaintances who lived relatively close to one another. They crossed paths from time to time and maintained a fairly casual relationship. However, during the June 6th party, Dante wanted far more from Sarah. Dante became angry and discouraged when Sarah, who had no interest in him, rejected his advances during the gathering. Additionally, it is believed that later that same night, he obtained the weapon that was used to kill her. Then he charged towards Sarah as she was preparing to head home and approach her vehicle. When the attack began, she likely had no understanding of what was happening. However, this cannot be known for certain. Still, he carried out the assault and ultimately caused her death after obtaining what he wanted from her. Prosecutors believe that after committing the horrific act, Dante left her car about a mile away from her home and then disposed of her body in the nearby woods. Afterward, he went on with his life as if he had not killed a woman simply because she rejected him. I don't like to oversimplify situations, but that is essentially what occurred. By all accounts, Sarah's rejection of Dante cost her her life. Tragically, it was later revealed that this behavior was part of Dante's usual pattern. While building their case, prosecutors uncovered that Dante had attempted to do the same thing to another woman who rejected him back in 2011. Fortunately, she survived. This is not fabricated. Dante had previously threatened a woman with a knife. He did it again in this case, but this time he did not stop himself. Since incidents like this should never happen, I truly hope that the woman who was victimized by Dante in 2011 is doing well. This level of trauma should never be exposed to the public. Simply put, we are not built to witness it. However, the defense presented their own arguments. Their main focus centered on the errors made by both the prosecution and the police before and after Dante's arrest. After contesting the Miranda rights issue, the defense argued that Dante's interaction with Sarah was somehow consensual. Essentially, they were inventing excuses and attempting to clear Dante based on a technicality. All of their claims and deceptive efforts were lies or bizarrely distorted versions of the truth. They knew Dante was guilty. It was appalling that they were clinging to anything they could simply to earn their paycheck. That said, they did make one valid observation. In some ways, it seems obvious that Dante committed the crime because his DNA was found all over Sarah's car. We are basically certain of it. Still, they brought up some interesting points. As you may know, Sarah and DJ, her ex-boyfriend, were together for around 2 years. The breakup caused conflict between them. We don't know exactly why, but Sarah posted a series of cryptic tweets a few days before her murder about being threatened. Quote, "So you know, I live on a dead end," was her June 1st tweet. "I see you creeping." Then on June 4th, Sarah tweeted, "I've been getting threats for days now. Is that the new course of action?" It is unclear who Sarah was referring to. However, it was suggested that these tweets were connected to her ex-boyfriend, DJ Waters, along with his mother. After those tweets, an anonymous source claimed that DJ left Sarah multiple threatening voicemails, along with his mother. However, Sarah did contact the police to report this situation. Because of this, the defense emphasized that the prosecution deliberately focused solely on Dante and failed to investigate other potential suspects. Once again, though, they pursued Dante because his DNA was found all over Sarah's body and inside her vehicle. There is not much analysis needed to conclude that Dante was present when Sarah died, not Waters. Sarah would not have been attacked by anyone else. Was she threatened by her ex-boyfriend? Yes, possibly, even likely, but he was not there. Eventually, after all of these arguments, it was time for the verdict. As the trial came to an end, Dante was given the opportunity to speak, but he chose to remain silent. In the end, Dante Taylor was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. During sentencing, Dante appeared calm and was seen smiling multiple times. This man did not feel remorse for what he had done. Because he was frequently reprimanded and disciplined for drug use and misconduct, he also did not change his behavior while incarcerated. According to a doctor at the infirmary, Dante stated that he was still experiencing very dark thoughts. Less than a day after these claims, he was removed from observation and returned to his cell. Dante's family also alleged that he was treated terribly while in prison. Later, a photograph surfaced showing Dante in prison, where he appeared to have been badly beaten. Although it was never confirmed, Dante's family claimed that correctional officers were responsible. This all occurred before the night of October 7, 2017. On that night, prison guards discovered 22-year-old Dante Taylor dead in his cell. He was pronounced dead at the scene, as resuscitation efforts were unsuccessful. His sentence for killing Sarah had lasted less than a year. The news devastated Sarah's family. In the end, the monster who killed Sarah chose the easy way out. They wanted the person who murdered Sarah to spend the rest of his life reflecting on what he had done. Sadly, that was no longer possible. But take comfort in this. Even though Dante did not receive the punishment he deserved in this life, he will certainly face it in the next. There will always be repercussions for evil acts. However, Darlene, Dante's mother, submitted a federal civil rights lawsuit against the correctional officers, physicians, nurses, and prison administrators at the facility where her son was found deceased. According to Dante's family, prison guards failed to provide him with proper medical care and did not prevent an impending assault against him. That said, it remains unclear whether this legal action led to any compensation or meaningful changes. Since the lawsuit was filed in 2020, no further updates have been reported. Right up until the end, this case was profoundly heartbreaking. To begin with, Sarah's death was sudden and completely unnecessary. She left behind her young daughter, who now has to grow up without either parent. And learning about this makes my heart hurt deeply. Children should never have to experience something like this. Their role in life should be to play, enjoy themselves, and make mistakes, not to grow up without their parents and later learn that one was murdered while the other simply disappeared from their life. This is the kind of trauma that stays with someone forever. Countless lives were shattered because one man was unable to accept the word no. An enormous number of innocent people were left devastated. If you found this case fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant.